K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hey everybody, it's a Wednesday night. Welcome to another episode of the Bo and Joe Show, our first at our new time, 9 p.m. I think it might be too early for our buddy Justin. I don't see him in the comments. He usually starts before we do.
Uh-oh.
But we're excited for a new time. Hello, gentlemen. How are you doing and how was your week?
What's happening, Joe?
How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. Can't complain. Little tired.
Oh, come on. It's a 9 o'clock start.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the start. It has to do with all the day work put in earlier this week, and it's just been a busy week.
All right, well, they're always a busy week. You would think, so the NFL is over, but that doesn't mean we have nothing to talk about. I mean, we have so much going on in the world of the MLB. Well, first of all, how are you doing, Bodine? You didn't comment. You just...
I'm good. It's 9 o'clock. I'm very interested in seeing our numbers and, people on the East Coast. We catching them before their bedtime, calling the hogs. So let's hope our numbers will show an increase, and I'm interested in finding that out. But yeah, it's 9 o'clock. Let's make the best of it.
All right, so we want to make the best of it. I do want to point out that you are wearing your yellow and blue in support of Ukraine, and we are going to talk about that a little bit later. But it's certainly, we do want to point out our solidarity and support for the Ukrainian people and the government. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But let's go to the MLB. Adrian, what do you think? Give us an update on the lockout. I know opening day's been canceled. The first week of the regular season, I've read a little bit about the negotiations, and it seems like there's been very little movement. There have been some compromises, but what are your thoughts? Give us the update, please.
Well, yeah, we've had our first game casualties. So every team loses the first two series of the opening week. So it's not, 5 games, 6 games, depending on what the series may be for each team, because that can vary. But, we had a deadline of 5 p.m. Monday afternoon. They had a 16-hour negotiation, so they stretched that deadline out into Tuesday. I guess thinking they were making progress, and the players struck down what the owners were offering. And I think what's interesting at this point is, in the past, I think there's always been that feeling and protecting of the younger player, the player that's not making as much money as some of the big time players. And in the past also, you haven't had a lot of big time players in the forefront of these negotiations and really standing strong and making decisions about not playing. Because quite honestly, the players that make, I guess at first you think about the players that don't make as much money and how it impacts them to miss games. And even though the big time players that make the big money may have more, it actually impacts them more than the younger players. And in this scenario, you have guys like we've got a couple pitchers that are up there that are really big time income makers they're standing up and they're saying, no, we're not going to give in. And I think the fact that you have those caliber players in the forefront, stating that they're not going to back down, this could be a long lockout, something that's different than in the past. So there's an interesting dynamic there.
I read today that those star players, many of the star players indicated that they would be willing. They've already told the other players across the league that they would be willing to miss a whole season. So I think that that's pretty significant. And Justin agrees. He's saying, there he is, our guy. MLB lockout is a mess. I think we all agree there. I don't know. Bodine, what are your thoughts?
More football. We've got a couple of leagues starting up this next month in April. More football to watch. You know, you make your bed, you lay in it, right? I enjoy playoff baseball, but normal during the season, summer baseball. To me, it's better to go to the game, go to the stadium, than watch it on TV. Very boring. It's more boring than golf. So more football, bring it on. More football. If they're willing to bite their nose off to spite their face, they're going to, they're already what? Football's number one, basketball's number two. Is it a tie between hockey and baseball in terms of rating?
No.
I have no idea. So, we'll see, but
yeah, we talked about it last week. It's going to be interesting to see what happens depending on how deep this goes with the USFL starting in April, just how it impacts baseball down the road. And baseball's not in a great place. It's not in as strong a place as it was back in the 80s, 70s. Like Bo said, the NFL is king now. NBA's right behind it. And, baseball, baseball's a regional sport in a lot of cases. People watch their team in their region. It's not as national as it was, and that's also a part of, how much access we have to everything these days. When we were growing up, you'd get one game a week, maybe a national game on a Monday night or a Saturday game or something like that. So it was a more national sport, and now it's not. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's a tough deal.
And it's not just the new pro leagues, XFL or whatever that new league is going to be called. I don't even know the name of the league, but I'm probably going to watch the games.
USFL.
But as you said, there are other things people can find to do. It's not like people can't find things to do. And we've got women football, female football, that's going to grow on people, right? You've got the WNBA, more people watching the WNBA. So there's so many other things to do that, baseball could lose 1, 2, 3% of their fans. I don't know what the number is, but 1 or 2 or 3% is a lot of folks to lose.
Yeah, it's about the average fan. Not everybody's like me. Not everybody, gets either the, MLB package or, the options that you have so that I can watch the Yankees every night. Everybody's not like that. I mean, I am. That's me. I love baseball. I grew up on it, and that's just me. But not everybody's like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because it's about the average fan and those people that may tune in every now and then. Well, they're just not going to.
So we have some comments over here, and we want to welcome some viewers. So we have Frank, and Frank is saying, how can I feel sorry for star players not getting their paycheck? And then he also says, these are hard times for what's going on in the world, and I think it's time that they put those issues aside. So I'm not sure how we feel about that. I'm torn about it. If there's a disparity and inequity in pay and in terms and substandard conditions, I mean, not all players are equal. So I don't know. I hope that there's some equity. Anthony saying, showing her his baseball symbols and then saying now he he doesn't want that to happen. I moved to Fort Myers and my office is a block from the Red Sox facility, so he doesn't want to see the game disbanded. He's also saying the minor league games are great to watch. The stadiums are nice. And Frank is again saying baseball had a chance for terrific PR. I was just past time back, 162 game stadiums having fans, and they took that away. So,
well, let me add this really quickly. I think it's very easy for everybody to bang on the players. Why? Because the player salaries are the only ones that are public. So everybody knows, okay, this player makes this player makes that. What is not public is what the owners make. And I think we always have to remember it's easier to get on what's in the forefront and what we can see face value. And we kind of ignore sometimes what is not face value. And that is, we're talking about millionaires in some cases. Not all Major League Baseball players are millionaires. Not all of them make over $1 million a year. And then we're talking about, in comparison, the owners being billionaires. And the owners being billionaires and continue to make money hand over fist based on the product that's put on the field. And the product that's on the field are the players. There's no product without the players. So, you see a lot of people, getting on the players and calling them spoiled or whatever the case may be. And honestly, it's not a fair statement because, we're talking about the minority when you're talking about the billionaires compared to the ones that aren't. And the owners being billionaires themselves. So you always have to have some context to it. And I try to keep that in mind when I'm, thinking about these things personally.
I agree. And Frank has a good point. He's saying, and I believe he means returning to the stadiums after COVID. This would have been a great PR move, having the fans back in the stadiums, America's pastime back to full capacity, and they didn't take advantage of the chance for great PR. But it's not just great PR. It would have actually been great for the country, for the fans. I mean, to be back in, I'm not saying that the strike isn't justified. I don't know all the terms of it. What I read about it, the players are indicating that it's really about bringing more competition to the game and amongst the competitors. And I understand all of that. But agreed. I mean, this is I don't know. And the negotiations have been ongoing for a long time. I think that the players hope that it's certainly, I don't think any players want to be sitting out games. I'm sure that the hope was that they come back, that this be resolved before the season started. And I don't know. What do you think? I mean, Frank's saying he doesn't feel sorry for the players because they are not adjusting to analytics. Guys can go past 5 innings. Hitters are hitting 190 and striking out 195 times. How can you ask for a raise? But what's the difference? Why is it, we have NFL players certainly making the same types of salaries and NBA players, and why is it that we're only scrutinizing baseball players? So.
Well, I don't think, first of all, I don't think Major League Baseball players are looking for anybody to feel sorry for them. So that's number one. But, number two, the analytics of the game comes from up top. That comes from ownership. So the way the game's played is changed by the people that the front office brings in to study those analytics, implement them into the game, and is a part of the reason that the game is played the way it is. So that's not really a player issue or something that the players created. That's created from on top.
Agreed. And then, hi, Mr. Sanders, and Mr. Sanders joining. He found us. I think he he wandered into the wrong group. I saw him in whatever on Wednesday. So I'm glad you made it to the Bo and Joe show. Good to see you. So, I don't know. Let's move on to something else. I mean, we can do, let's transition to something else. I have some good heartwarming stories. I don't know if anybody saw the footage of the young man he was at a rodeo in Texas, and I guess it was the Houston Livestock Show and rodeo, and it got underway, and right out of the gate, the young man, he's 18, he got knocked off of his bull, and he was actually was unconscious. He was lying on the ground, and his father jumped out of the stands and actually laid on top of him. The bull, I'm not sure what they're called, but I assume the rest of the, I don't know, rodeo staff were trying to contain the bull in the ring, and they couldn't get him settled down. And he actually came over and just as the father got on top of him, the bull gored the father, and they said that he saved his son. That he could have got trampled, or certainly could have gotten gored to death, and so it was a pretty significant and poignant moment. I saw the interview afterwards, and the father said, that's happened a couple times throughout his career. He said, but this one really shook him up. And I think that was really a heartwarming story to see. So if you didn't see it, I encourage everybody to go back and check out the video. It's pretty heartwarming, because they don't seem to be too warm and fuzzy guys. They're two, rodeo riders, and so to see that heartfelt moment between the two of them was touching. It was very touching.
Well, I didn't see it, but I'm going to go to YouTube, or hopefully you'll send it to me if you have it. I want to take a look at it, but yeah, that's pretty dangerous business. Pretty dangerous. Yeah, and so absolutely, the father is definitely a hero for saving his son. That could have been pretty bad.
Yeah, no doubt.
No doubt about it. So that's a good story.
But that's that parental instinct. We all have it, right? In one way or the other. Thank God we don't have to show it in that manner. But
yeah.
Well, my sons are still young. I mean, not that I'm encouraging. You never know. I could have a rodeo rider. Although that would be a miraculous occurrence. I'll say that. But then the other story I saw, a high school student out of Virginia. He's a wrestler. He was born. His name is Adonis Lattimore. He's born without legs. He has one leg, and he was born without a right leg, and his left leg only goes to the middle of his thigh. He only has one fully functioning arm, and he is a senior at Lansdowne High School in Virginia Beach, actually one of my favorite places. And he won the state class 606-pound wrestling championship on Saturday. And he hopes to be able to suit up in college. He's been wrestling since second grade. And that was another great story I saw this week. I thought it'd be nice to have some heartwarming stories, because it's been a pretty tumultuous week across the globe, actually. So if you didn't see that one, I encourage you to check that one out too.
Well, there's a similar story to that. I believe there's a wrestler who's probably 10 years older than that young man, because I remember 5 years ago or so seeing a story.
I'm going to give it to you.
Go ahead.
I'm going to give it to you. So his name is Kyle Maynard, and he actually went to the same high school that my kids went to. So back in 2004, he went 35-16. He's a quadruple amputee. So no feet, no hands, no nothing. And he became really big, and he actually ended up being the first quadruple amputee in 2012 to climb Mount Kilimanjaro unassisted.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, so that's now, obviously he didn't win the state championship or anything like that, but he was a very good wrestler. Played football, played youth football, played different things as a kid. So great stories. Just goes to show that, your limitations are what you make them, right? You can get past what limitations you may have been born with, if you're willing, and if you have the right guidance, and and obviously you have to think about the families in that situation, and how they, not just pushed them, because I don't want it to sound like they were forced to do these things, but how they were encouraged to do these things, you know what I mean? And for them to be able to, accomplish some of the things that they do, it's outstanding. I love that story.
And you know what's funny? That's not even the same guy I was thinking about. So obviously
really?
there are multiple individuals out there who have had success wrestling or participating in a sport. And, you can probably find more than a handful, for Special Olympics and during Olympic times. So, but yeah, I mean, there's just some great stories out there. We need to focus on those stories and share those stories instead of the negative stories where owners and players are fighting over who has control over the dollars that are coming in from the advertising firms. So, yeah, great stories.
So Frank's reminding us, let's not forget about Glenn Abbott, who had one arm and pitched a no-hitter for the Yankees.
That is correct.
Jim Abbott.
Yeah. And George is joining us. Hello, my friends. Hi, George. We haven't.
Big G.
We haven't seen George. And Frank is saying you can do anything, just don't get down on yourself. And when I was reading these stories today, he's saying sorry, Jim. Yeah. So when I was reading these stories today, it really speaks exactly to what you said, Adrian. When I think to myself, I said, maybe I'm going to give up sugar for the month of March, but already I broke that. and really.
Don't worry, Joe. I'd have broke it just as fast as you did.
But these things are a decision, right? I mean, our limitations are really in our mind, and not that giving up sugar equates to those monumental tasks. But you can accomplish certainly that. You can accomplish giving up sugar if you really wanted to. So it makes me really have appreciation for these people who overcome such monumental limitations. They're really, and they're not even limitations because they don't allow them to be. So they're
there are hardships, and you just hardships, barriers, and you just have to fight your way through it if you really want to achieve something. So it's funny how we can connect these things, and I'm not going to go back into the baseball thing, but my younger son, AJ, and I were talking this past weekend, and, talking about sports and talking about who gets there, who doesn't. And I think one of the reasons that I don't have such a staunch stance against athletes when it comes to certain things is because personally, and I think, Bo, you probably would agree and feel the same way. Personally, as an athlete who had aspirations of doing something, had the ability to get to a certain place and didn't get there, I think those of us who have been at that place have a definite admiration for the ones who get there, because I think we have an understanding as to what they go through, the hurdles that they climb, the things that they ignore and avoid, and what it takes to really get to that place. And the reason they're in that place is because they've got some things in them that the rest of us don't. In some ways, that drive, that determination, that discipline, all of these things that we can talk about in order to get to the place that the heights that they've reached. So I have an appreciation for that, and an understanding that it's just not easy to get there. And the ones that get there, they're the top 1%, and they get there for a reason. You know what I mean? And so I just have that appreciation. And when you look at amputees and these people that overcome things that
I guess some of us couldn't even imagine. It's just special. It's just a special thing.
Agreed. And when I think about it, and we say that they have something we don't, I think that we all possess that. We just choose not to exercise it. Because you think it's not all talent. When you think about that, I mean, we have people who have great talent, but they just don't. They don't exercise those other qualities, and they really could. So I think anybody can be. I think discipline is anybody can be disciplined. Anybody can be hardworking. You may not always get to that point, but some of us just don't do it, including me.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, they have something in them that says, okay, no matter what, this is going to happen. And there's something in others, and me included, that's like, okay, well, yeah, that was important, but you know what? Let me go over here. Let me go over here. Let me do this. And that importance kind of, you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that we don't have it. I'm just saying, I just have an appreciation. Yeah, I just have an appreciation for them.
Yeah, I do too. And I was listening to something this morning, and it might have been, and I'm always torn about, I like Joe Rogan in some instances, other instances I don't. Some things I feel as if he says, but he was talking, and I don't know who he was speaking to, someone else, and it just happened to come on the radio, and he was saying that the people who are really successful, it's not necessarily that they have more talent than anybody else. It's just that they do the work even when they don't want to. Like if I don't want to do something, if it's cold and rainy, I'm like, I'm not going to do it. But they do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They get up, they do it. They own their morning routine, which most people say that's the key. You get up. Bodine can't understand that because he has no morning. He's just up 24 hours a day. So that doesn't work for him. But I get it. I think that I have a lot of admiration for those people too, for sure. I'm not sure what this means. Joe must go. I don't know. You're kicking me out of here, Frank? I'm not sure.
Oh, you could be talking about Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe Rogan. Yeah, I agree. I'm not his biggest fan for sure, but he has said a few things that, he does have some, Joe Rogan, he's got some issues for sure. All right. So we talked about the Paralympics are starting March 4th. When is that? That must be today's Wednesday. So Friday, they're going to start Friday. And then did you hear that? You hear the, this is nice. George is saying, I know my son Bryce has something in him. I know I have bowled about a dozen games over 200 in my lifetime. Bryce has 14 in the past 4 years. He is special. So
yeah, he's pretty good.
So that's
good stuff.
Yeah, that's good. And so we celebrate Bryce. But he, did you hear any of the talk? I know we talked about Tom Brady last week, and there was, Bruce Arians came out this week and said, if he comes out of retirement, we're not releasing him. He's gonna stick with the Bucs, or he's not coming back at all. But so that's some NFL news. But then today, did you see that sounds like the Buffalo Bills are interested in Gronk? So he could be coming to my neck of the woods. The new dynamic duo, Josh Allen and Rob Gronkowski. I might have to drive out to Buffalo in that sub-zero temperature. Well, I'll have to go in September. I'll drive out to Buffalo in September. So that would be interesting to see Gronk. I mean, Bruce Arians said he's been practicing with the team, but I'd love to see that. And apparently he's from that area. He's from Amherst, New York, which is right outside of Buffalo. So maybe he'll go back to his roots.
That would be interesting to see if he did that. How much it would cost to get him, and how much would he actually play? Meaning, we know he's going to play, but is he going to be an every down tight end, or is he going to be, a third down tight end, second down tight end? It's interesting how that would work out. But hey, that's what makes the offseason important, finding out who's moving where and when. And the head coach of Tampa Bay just shot a checkmate to Tom, TB12. He's basically shot a cannon over their head, warning shot. Okay, don't play around here. Either you're going to retire or you're not. And if you don't, you're on our roster. So that's the mindset. These are the games that they play during the off season. That is, getting into the weeds, and only the NFL wonkers, right, who do this and are involved in it on a day-to-day basis, making hundreds of calls. Only they kind of know what's going on. So, but we'll see. But like I said, until Tom Brady signs that retired paperwork, he's not officially retired. Until he signs it, I don't believe he's retired.
And he hasn't signed it?
Nope.
Yeah.
The NFL hasn't released a statement saying he has. The only person who released a statement saying he was retired is who? Everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? So let's wait and see.
All right, Frank's leaving, so even 9's too late for Frank, I guess. I don't know that. So Frank said, I just want to say one thing before I go. I hope Major League Baseball owners and the players do something for the people who work at the stadium who will probably be laid off. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. You don't even think about that there are individuals who work at the stadiums, and it's probably already a seasonal job. And yeah, there are a lot of people that's a good point. I agree. I hope they're compensated or taken care of in some way, because those are probably, there's no retroactive pay for those folks who probably have already suffered because of the pandemic already. So
and it's not just those folks, it's the folks that work in the minor league towns and the towns that they go play preseason baseball or whatever you call it, Grapefruit League and Cactus League and all that stuff. There are people who have businesses that are affected by this. That's why, the owners really, and it's probably more so the owner's fault than anyone's, but they need to, it could be representation, right? It could be the whoever's representing the players, the lawyers. Again, there could be fault to be spread all around, but the bottom line, baseball as a whole is looking bad. They're getting this wrong, because it would be great to start baseball right now that we're coming out of this pandemic and people could get out in the stands outside and enjoy baseball and have fun. It would really look good. I mean, that's a PR from a PR perspective. I totally agree. So they got to put their heads together, man. There's a lot of money out there. It's not like people losing money. There's a lot of money out there. Just, get it together.
Yeah, I think too. So, I want to spend some time on, obviously, everybody knows, no one, I believe, has missed what's happening in Ukraine. I believe that we're all aware of that, and our hearts and sympathies go out to the people of Ukraine. It's certainly an injustice that that leaves me speechless in many respects. But I just want to talk about how, obviously the world is supporting them, most of the world, and the athletes in the sports world have shown support for Ukraine as well. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit. There have been Ukrainian flags in all of the arenas, especially in the soccer arenas. And I don't know if you saw it. One of the players who plays in the Portuguese soccer league is a Ukrainian player. His name is Roman Yaremchuk. And I believe when they called him in as a substitute, they gave him the captain's armband, and the crowd gave him just a thunderous ovation, and to give their support to him. He actually teared up out on the stands. The Russian tennis player, I don't know if you probably saw that as well, Andrei Rublev, wrote on the camera after he won a match, and he said, "No war, please." So it's even the Russian players are standing out, and I love that. The number one tennis player in the world, Russians, Daniil I'll say his name wrong. I always do. Medvedev spoke out and said, "In this moment, you understand that tennis sometimes isn't that important. By being a tennis player, I want to promote peace all over the world." It's also, did you see at the NBA game, the Ukrainian player, and what's his name? I forgot his name now. Alex Len. Both the Sacramento Kings and the Denver Nuggets banded arms before their game, and in solidarity to him, and said no more war. The IOC disciplined Russia and Belarus, said that they called it, they broke the breach of the Olympic truce. FIFA and UEFA, the governing bodies for international soccer, have indefinitely suspended all Russian teams. So, and that's not it. It's the same thing worldwide with basketball, figure skating, skiing. So it's really good to see that happening. I mean, not that it's not enough. And unfortunately, we're not in a position here, the people in the studio. I mean, in my opinion, the governing bodies can certainly do more than they're doing. But, like Bodine says, I'm going to stay in my lane and I'm not going to venture into that. But I just love those sports stories. And like you always say, athletics and athletes have a way of bridging the gap when it may seem insignificant. It really is a significant demonstration of solidarity.
Well, they have a platform, they have the TV camera. And when you're a superstar or a star and you have the camera, that's a lot of power. The NHL hockey player, who's I guess he's right now the best in the NHL. Does he play for the Washington Capitals? Ovechkin.
Alex Ovechkin. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in an uncomfortable position because he's apparently pretty good friends with Putin. So imagine how uncomfortable it is for him to be participating, with players from Ukraine playing in the league and in the entire league supporting Ukraine. And he's, again, widely known to be a friend of Putin. So I saw an interview with him. He was struggling, right? He was struggling. But hey, you got to put your foot down. Sometimes right is right and wrong is wrong.
Right.
People don't like bullies. And Putin is a bully.
Well,
there are other words we can use, but we're a family show here, right? So, yeah.
Well, when we're saying not all bullies have the capacity to kill thousands of countries and decimate thousands of people and decimate a country, and in my opinion, and I know we're a family friendly show, we try not to say too politically inclined, but I think we're going to see tens of thousands of deaths. So bullies just way too. I will say bully, but
well, he's a war criminal. He is a war criminal. And my dad and I have been talking about this from day one, sometimes 1 or 2 in the morning. And the NATO nations are putting him in a box. They're putting a squeeze on him. They're making all the right moves. And it's only going to get elevated the more he elevates the chaos and the carnage, right? So, his buddies who are oligarchs, some are the oligarchs are his buddies, and then I find out some of them are not. But they're all getting squeezed. So he is in a bubble by himself. What is he going to do? So, there's a little diplomacy. There's some, what do you call it? CIA and MI6 stuff going on. So he's got problems, but let's see where it goes.
Well, let's see where it goes. But that I am, I would never typically advocate for violence in any way. But to me, I think sanctions are not going to be enough. I mean, everybody's talking about SWIFT, and I don't know if people realize it, but that is not even going to go into effect until March 12th. So that's 10 days from now. This war will be over in 10 days. The country's either going to be overtaken or something extreme is going to happen. Ukraine can't stand for 10 more days waiting for sanctions. So we'll see. My prediction is that, 10 days is going to be too late. But anyway, let's move on to something happier. What do we have? So that's my list. I think that's my list. What do you guys have? We can talk about March Madness. That'll be fun. Let's bring a little madness into our lives. What's upcoming for that? That's not my area of expertise. So,
well, we've got the end of the regular season this week and the weekend, and then we start with the conference tournaments for the Big Five. The big conferences, the big schools, starting next week. So, it's March Madness, baby. It's time to watch basketball to 1 or 2 in the morning and get up and watch it from 11 o'clock until 2 in the morning every day during, Wednesday, and they have the play-in game. So this is an exciting time of the year. Maybe we should think about a March Madness show. Maybe. Okay. So, yeah.
No doubt. I mean, it's going to be an interesting tournament. This past week, 7 of the top 10 teams went down. Just this past week, all lost in the same week, which is the first time. I think it's the first time ever that had happened. Yeah, our boys got a big win against Providence last night.
Well, we beat them. We beat them 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So
we just
needed the win though.
Marquette.
We needed the win though, right? And this,
we need the win to stay in the two hole, 2 seed. But it's going to be interesting. The Big Ten is stacked. SEC has some solid teams. Obviously, you have your Gonzaga out there doing their thing, but they don't play that big schedule. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see what the seedings end up being. They could change very quickly over the next 2 weeks. Personally, I'm looking forward to being at the Garden next week. So, as a matter of fact, you guys may be missing me next Wednesday.
All right. Can't you just bring us into the Garden? That'll be fun. We'll just live stream from.
I guess I could flash you. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to conference tournaments starting next week, and then obviously we have the selection show, which will be Sunday evening, the 13th, and then so it'd be perfect for us that Wednesday to have a little March Madness show leading into the meat of the game starting that Thursday night. So,
all right.
Well, I got invited to the Big East tournament myself. I just don't know what night it is. I'll probably find out this weekend. But
well, let me know. So we will have to go have lunch, dinner, something.
Nah, I can't. I can't leave the superstar hanging when she's going to be on the show by herself. No.
You guys,
that would be only Wednesday.
Well, first of all, the chances of me getting invited the same night that you have, the night that you're going to be there, is probably slim to none. So
I've got tickets every day.
Oh, you're going to be there the entire thing?
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, then that's a different story. But I don't think I'm gonna be there the first night. So, because we wouldn't play the first night.
No.
So
nope.
So that's why I don't think I'm gonna be there the first night.
All right, so don't worry about me, Bodine. We can always play a replay or do it another night. You guys get together. The show will go on. The show, I can pull up, if I have to, I can pull crispy bacon off the bench. We will survive. Don't worry about the show for sure.
No, if I ended up going, I'm streaming it. I'm going to pull out my camera. Somebody's going to have to teach me to say, hey, listen, here's a 5-minute excerpt. Here's what's happening. That's what you should be thinking about, Ferris.
Oh, that's easy.
giving
Hey,
us a sneak peek on
I do-
Wednesday night.
I do this every week on my phone, so that's nothing.
So let's do a little sneak peek.
Even
a
if you're
little
on
bit-
mute.
Well,
you
first
know?
of all, we don't want to get ourselves in trouble because
Right.
there are rights regarding airing programs, but it's okay to show a little bit, as long as you don't show the entire program. So we don't want to break any rules and get you in trouble. But no, that'll be fine. All right, that'll be fine. A little 5-minute, what do they call it? Sideline reporting.
Well, if there's a copyright infringement, Facebook will shut it down. So, we wouldn't
like I said,
necessarily. Yeah.
5 minutes.
We'll just
5 minutes is fine.
Yeah,
5
they'll
minutes
mute
is
the
fine.
clip, so we'd be fine. I mean, they would take action. So
Yeah, 5 minutes is fine.
so,
We'll be good with 5-minute sideline reporting.
All right, so that's something to look forward to.
Okay.
So we have March Madness, and what does that mean? We got to fill out our brackets.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And normally I don't participate, but I think we have to. We have to participate, right? We
Okay.
have to have a bracket ceremony.
Gotta do it right.
We got to
Gotta
do it.
right.
We're part of the media. Everybody else does it. We need to have a bracket. So let's get
Right.
ready to fill out our brackets and get
That's
our viewers involved as well. They can fill out
Okay.
their brackets. So we'll
Okay,
come up with a plan, right?
Yeah. And then Justin is saying, Bo, what do you think about Kevin Durant coming back from injury?
Well, let's hope he's healthy. If he's healthy, and then they can squeeze Ben Simmons in there, it's going to be very interesting because regardless of what people say, Ben Simmons can play basketball. He just can't shoot a three-pointer, meaning he's not good at it. And he's not a good free throw shooter. But you people can change. It's called practice. And you get the right shooting coach, which
Kyle Korver.
Kyle Korver is actually a great shooting coach because the guy was an extremely, incredible free throw shooter and three-point shooter. So he's working with him. If any improvement at all in his game makes him, he made the All-Star team, right? So any improvement, you still have an All-Star who can play basketball. He's going to help them win games. So wouldn't it be interesting that both teams meet in the playoffs? Oh,
well, it's possible. And like I said last week, the great thing about Simmons going there is he doesn't have to worry about scoring. He doesn't have to worry about that piece, and that's gonna benefit him. He's going to be able to distribute the basketball, rebound, do different things that don't require him to have to put the ball in the basket as much with Irving and Durant and Seth Curry, and it shouldn't be an issue with him.
And with the COVID numbers coming down, pretty much New York is going to change their rules, and Irving's going to be able to play at home, which is going to make them have an advantage because he's not beat up. He didn't play the entire season. So he's going to be a little bit healthier. Both players are going to be a little bit healthier than everybody else. So that's kind of an advantage.
Yeah, we'll have to see because I think I heard something today about Simmons having back issues today. So I don't know what's going on with him. We'll have hope, the Nets may hope that he even takes the court at this point because it's not leading in that direction very quickly. It doesn't seem.
So we have some.
If
some
Durant, let me answer Justin's question. If Durant is healthy and he comes back, he's one of the top 3 players in the world. Durant, Bron, and Curry. So if he comes back, Brooklyn's got a chance to win some games. So you have to look out for him.
Yeah. So we have some people signing off. Anthony saying thank you all for a great show. I'm off to sleep. Frank is saying good night, all.
Hey Troy, I'm coming down to Fort Myers. I didn't know you were down in Fort Myers. I'm gonna take a road trip.
So,
That's
yeah,
down my way, isn't it? Isn't that down my way?
That's deeper. It's a lot deeper. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's in my state. I mean,
Yeah,
Florida.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So even at 9, we luckily we were on at 9, and we wouldn't have even had Frank and Anthony. So
That's right. 2 more newbies. Woohoo!
I said, yes, sir. Come on, I just got here Monday. All right,
All right.
perfect. Perfect.
Nice. Down there fishing. I hope he's fishing and
He's there
playing
to
some
get-
golf.
He's there to stay. So all right, it's nice to have connections in a warm state. We'll be
Well,
down.
ask Troy, is he fishing and golfing? If he's fishing and golfing, save a spot for me. I'm on my way down too. I just got to stop in Jayville.
All right, so we have 7. Oh, he's tapped off golf yesterday. All right, so we have 7 minutes left. Where do we want to go? No, Troy said no fishing, so you're on your own there.
Okay. But he
All
said
right.
golf though, right? Good.
He's
One of the two
golfing.
ain't bad. One of the two ain't bad.
So all right, so where do we want to go? So we
Well, I
could.
think we covered it.
What?
Go ahead. I think we covered a lot.
We did. We covered a lot. So I think this could be.
Isn't the combine this week?
Started yesterday, I believe, right? Yeah.
Combine is, where all the top athletes get together and get tested for agility and all that stuff so they can get graded. And so I was unlucky enough to go to the official combine, but I actually got invited to a supplemental combine my senior year. And a lot of people don't know that, but I did. It was at Georgia Tech. And my sister PJ picked me up and was my support while I was at the combine at Georgia Tech. So I know what it's like to get graded and the stress of working out and running doing all the agilities and weightlifting and all that stuff. So those I feel for those young men because I was there.
Yep, it starts tomorrow. Tight ends, quarterbacks, and wideouts.
Yep.
Where is it in Florida?
It's always in, I believe,
The main
it's
one's
usually in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the main one's there.
Yeah,
I went to
Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah. And the supplemental is usually in a different location a month later. So that could be for free agents or athletes from like HBCUs or smaller schools that don't get the opportunity. They get invited because they're looking for that diamond in the rough. So that particular supplemental combine doesn't get as much hype as the main combine.
So you're our diamond in the rough, Odine. Combine or not. All right, well, I think we covered a lot. We're forming this in. This could be the first time ever we play ourselves out a little early.
Are we sure about that? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's take advantage of it.
All right. So it's a great first show at 9:00. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. I enjoyed the 9:00 hour. I hope everybody else did. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe we should stick around for 4 more minutes and see if anybody hops on looking for us at 10.
Oh,
maybe
I'm fine
we
with
shouldn't because we'll
Then
be
we'd
on
have to go
till
another
11.
hour, wouldn't we?
All right, so we'll take advantage of our early start, and we'll say we'll close it off early. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen? George is saying, "Have a good week." Thanks, George. You too. San just came on.
That's funny.
You forgot we were starting at 9, San. You were so excited about it last week. Now you forgot.
No, I actually talked to her earlier today. She had a busy day, so
Old habits are hard to break.
She had a busy day today, so but she knew about it. Absolutely.
All right, she made it. Of course, we always want to thank our man behind the scenes, Chris P. Bacon. Thanks, of course, Chris, for producing another great show. And And I think you can play us out. I think we're going to take advantage. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Let me do that before we leave. We had Justin, of course. We had Frank. We had George. We had Troy. We had, who else? Sand jumped on at the end. Mr. Sanders, of course. And I don't want to miss anybody. I didn't see Coach Andy, right? No, I didn't see him tonight. But hopefully we'll see you all next week. And anybody who's just tuning in, it's 9:58. We're at our new time. So we will see you next week at 9 p.m. Eastern.
And listen, they can send us any ideas other than what we're thinking about regarding the what do you call it? The March Madness
the brackets.
The brackets. If somebody has some other inventive ideas or ideas that they know makes it interesting, just shoot us some information. They have our Facebook links and profile names and all that stuff. So shoot us the information and we'll review it, because we definitely want to do something.
Yeah, send us a DM. And San has been here the whole time. Okay, so perfect. And now she's going to be like me. We're getting off to get into our PJs. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Great show.
We'll see you next week. Chris, you can play us out.